Hey, babe.
Hi.
All right, listen. Y'all ever feel overwhelmed or just discouraged? Well, that's why we wrote this book called The Courage to Commit. It's been a really fun project, don't you think?
It has. It's taken a very long time.
That's right. We're really pleased with how this turned out. We just got, for the first time, a whole box of books. I'll go get the box.
It's a box. It's literally just a box.
We just got it this week. It's very exciting because writing a book, turns out, is a very involved process.
It is.
And now we get to see the final version of
Also,
it.
I think it's absolutely beautiful.
I do too.
We had so many iterations of the cover and like color variations and what picture to use. I think it's perfect. It's
That's right.
stunning.
So we wrote this book because we feel like nowadays everyone's just trying to move on to the next option. Like when things get difficult, change the page, close that chapter and start a new one. So if you guys are interested in checking out the book, then we'll link it down below. You can find it at thecouragetocommit.com. Buy it anywhere you buy books. But what I wanted to do today, since this is my first book, how many books have you written?
This is my fourth.
We'll do a whole nother video on books that she's written. I'm going to do a book review on your books.
We don't need to do that.
I'm going to.
Why?
I just want you to know.
The books that I wrote when I was 16. So
You look beautiful today, by the way. Okay. But this is my first book, and to learn about the process of writing a book, I thought was really interesting, and I wanted to share it. And so today, we wanted to walk you through, step by step, the timeline of writing a book. I have the whole thing mapped out. Okay?
I know you do.
When did we start writing the first proposal for this book?
When I was pregnant with Bear, so 3 years ago.
Spring of 2022. So we're talking 4 years ago. Obviously, when you write a book, you got to have something to write about. So for us, that actually took quite a long time. I feel like that part of the journey took about like a year to say, all right, we want to write a book. What do we want to do it on? It takes a lot of thinking through, like, oh, what topic is appropriate to write a whole book on? Because it's a pretty beast project to write a book, so it better mean something to you. Spring 2022, we started working on what I titled Committed. That was a working title. We started coming up with a lens of a topic that we could write on that makes sense for our stories. We want to write a book that our audience would like to read, that we would like to write, and that we were proud of and felt like it made some type of an impact. And thus, we wrote a book about the topic that I feel like we've done well and done poorly. So spring 2022. First proposal, like in the works. We started mapping out kind of chapter title ideas. So we start this proposal, and to get the proposal out into the world took a year by itself. So now we're in year 2, and what I have here is the version 5, not even the final version of our proposal. At this point, the working title was called
The Upside of Doubling Down.
How Radical Commitment Can Create a Rich Life.
Andrew fell in love with that title. I thought it was horrific. I did not understand that title at all, and you guys thought it was like the wittiest thing ever.
I get it. I'm glad we didn't go with that title then. But during this process of finessing the proposal, which the proposal, this one ended up being about 66 pages. So you have like a sample chapter written, and then you have all the chapters kind of laid out, the book arc kind of mapped out. We were also interviewing writers. So we wrote this book with another guy. His name is Jimmy Sonny. He's awesome. And how many writers did we end up interviewing?
4.
And Jimmy he's just a legend, to be honest. The other books he's written have been phenomenal.
He was the 3rd we interviewed. We knew as soon as we interviewed him that he was our writer.
Yeah. He started plugging in and helping with the proposal. We sent the proposal out in May of 2024. So it took 2 years to develop the proposal and find the writer. And then the next step is when you have a proposal, that's when you shop it out to publishers if that's the route you're going to go.
I don't remember how many publishers we interviewed with, but maybe like 7 or 8.
Yeah. Did you like that process?
It was an interesting process. I was not a part of that process with any of my books because I was so young. So it was very foreign to me. You're kind of just blindly choosing.
What was your takeaways in the publisher interview process? In my mind, I'm like, what difference does a publisher make, and why is that important? But I feel like I learned quite a lot where each publisher kind of has their own shtick.
I don't think I still understand it. I think we interviewed however many publishers, and similar to the writers, you're kind of finding someone that you vibe with.
I think the vibe was a big thing for us. And there was really, of the 7 we interviewed, I feel like 2 that we loved. And then from that point, we had actually 3 that we loved. From that point, what I realized is each publisher kind of has their own little genre that they're experts in. And so like the category a book goes in, it might be a self-help book, or it might be a recipe book, or it might be an illustration book. And different publishers have different tools and kind of relationships, connections, and infrastructure to excel in making an excellent book in that category. So for us, we ended up signing with Portfolio Publishers. It's part of Penguin Random House, and that was our dream publisher, to be honest, after we started understanding the nuances of that world, because Penguin publishes books by Ryan Holiday and Jordan Peterson, Arthur Brooks, Morgan Housel, who's like a finance writer. And we wanted this book to kind of be self-helpy, even though I feel like it's kind of anti-self-help. We wanted it to go in that category. So Portfolio is like the kings in that realm. And we signed with Portfolio in July of 2024 after we did all the interviews with publishers in like June of 2024. So that was the next step we did. And we had this doc where we were taking notes on the publishers and what their vibe was and how invested did they seem in the process. That was a big filter for us, where you could sign with a publisher and them not do anything for you, or if you get a team that's actually excited about your concept and you guys as authors, then maybe they'll put a little more effort in. And so then once the contract gets figured out, I mean, publishing is kind of interesting because so much is changing. A lot of people are doing self-publishing now. So once you get the contract figured out, then they come up with a timeline when that book manuscript needs to be done. And usually that's about 12 months. So the next doc and milestone is our master document for, okay, we have all the chapters laid out from the proposal. The publisher went in and said, hey, this chapter is due by this date. This chapter is due by this date. And so pretty much it was like one chapter every other week. We have 18 chapters in our book. And that got us to about the 12-month mark. And let's see, we signed in July 2024. The book needed to be done by June of 2025, the final manuscript. So we went through and like we had this tracking document where Sean and I would get on a Zoom call with Jimmy and he would interview us.
All of our interviews were either with fresh baby laying in bed or the first couple months of baby. I was completely delusional during all of that. It was fun though, talking through all of the concepts and getting all of our thoughts on paper and then going back and forth.
We broke our big topic of commitment down into a bunch of little related topics that we felt like were important inputs into commitment. And so we talked about something like belief. And then this whole time I have this running document, this running like kind of notebook of stories I'm hearing on a day-to-day basis, or like sermons or other books that had quotes or excerpts. And so I'm trying to like organize all these thoughts and also plug in personal stories. And so you end up with like a ton of ideas on what goes with each chapter. And Jimmy, bless his heart, had to sort through and figure out which of those were most applicable and most relevant and best to go in the book. 12 months was great. And I don't know how you felt, but in that time I was like, man, I hope this is an important topic. I hope this like works.
Yeah, you kind of talk yourself down a rabbit hole of just like the abyss of a topic. It was very, ask me a question I can answer and zone in on like this answer. But like to see how you organized it and spearheaded the whole project was really cool.
Sean's contributions were the best. Anytime Sean would contribute, Jimmy was like, yep, that's going in there. Yep, that just changed the whole direction of the book. And so the whole thing starts to like take shape and you're kind of chiseling away at the concept. It was so fun. And we ended with a book that was, I think, 60,000 words and about 300 pages. And then by the end of it, after you submit the final manuscript, we got what's called the copy edited manuscript, where the publisher takes all these Google Docs that we had individually submitted, they put it all in one master document, and then you have to like go through and edit everything, and you see everything in light of the other chapters. We get this document initially, and that was in the fall of 2025. And then by November, so over Thanksgiving, we were doing the final edits. You go through a couple round of edits, but we printed off probably like the second copy edited manuscript. This was the whole thing we did. So Sean and I each read through it and we made notes and highlights and did all this editing to it, where it was like, no, that story doesn't work. And we went through and just like made sure that everything was how we wanted it to look. Then we had to punch in those edits and send them to the writer and the editor, which was a really fun process. But shout out Megan, by the way. She's been our point of contact at Portfolio, absolute legend. And Adrian over there is kind of like OG in the space. So thank you guys for your patience as we've sorted through this whole thing. But the copy edited manuscript, submitted that December 2025. And then they're like, the publisher starts saying, hey, you need people to endorse this book and give it blurbs. So who do we get blurbs from?
We got blurbs from Jenny Allen, Lewis Howes, Jordan Childs, Arthur Brooks, and Tim and Demi Tebow. Oh, and John Acuff and Dr. John Deloney.
That's right. And this was a really meaningful part. So we sent them the copy edited manuscript in a PDF file. They read through it and then they gave their thoughts. And that was kind of the first feedback that you get from the outside world. And they were very kind. They were all very encouraging, saying this was like a highly needed book. So I guess the next step was a cover mock-up. So they sent us like 5 options. We had strong feelings on that. And
Said no to all of them.
Covers mean a lot. Like you might have heard YouTube thumbnails make all the difference if a video gets clicked on and gets shared. Same with the book. And Sean did not like this initial mock-up cover because it doesn't have any of the texture on it. But they put it on this random book. You can see there's yellow on there. And they're just like, hey, this is what your book will look like. Is this what we want? And you're like, wow, it kind of feels real now. It's kind of happening.
It did feel real. That was a crazy thing to get. But I'm also such a perfectionist that I was like, oh, I really don't like it.
Yeah, we were like, oh, shoot. It kind of like rolls over the edge there and it feels so flat. That was in like January. Then they sent us this like kind of book version. It's a soft cover, which I think they do because it's easier to print. And that came in like February of this year, 2026. I don't know why this is different than this one, but this is kind of like the final soft cover paperback.
If you learn to find the sacred in the repetitive and the profound in the mundane, your life will be richer for it.
Richer in depth, in meaning, in the quiet satisfaction that comes from knowing you're someone who stays.
And then just this week, at the last week of April 2026, 4 years in, the final book with all the blurbs and the edits and the graphics included in there. So
Nothing we can change now.
that's right. It's not like a blog that's online and you can go through and make edits to it. It's like a final thing. And I'm really pleased with how it turned out.
I am too.
So if you guys are interested in the publishing process, we've definitely learned a lot. I've been taking notes on the whole rollout process and our strategy, so we can share that as well if you're interested. But we're so excited about this and eager to get your feedback. Please check it out. You can go to thecouragetocommit.com and check out the book. Pre-orders help a ton.
They kind of define the entire book
They
casually.
do.
So
They do.
please pre-order it. Pre-order it means you order it now and then you'll get it the second week of June.
That's right. And if you have any other questions, just let us know. But I thought it would be an interesting video to make. It's just like how to write a book. And just like any big project, it helps to break one big project into tiny little pieces, and then you conquer those each by themselves.
Also, fascinating thing for you. My first book was done in 8 months.
That's
Start to finish.
insane. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's why this felt so different.
It's been a treat to do this with you, babe.
It has been a lot of fun.
I love you.
Let's start the next one. It'll come out in 4 years.
Anyway, that's all we got. Thanks for watching. I'm Andrew.
I'm Sean.
Till next time.